Nivada Grenchen has been on my radar since they relaunched the brand back in 2018. Now, the specific model we'll be looking at today is the Super Antartic. This model is a not so distant cousin of the original Nivada Antartic collection launched in 1950. The original rose to fame when it was used by members of the American Navy's Deep Freeze 1 Task Force during the expeditions in the South Pole between 1955 and 1956. It was noted as being reliable, robust, and it was robust enough to perform in the most extreme conditions. Just like the original Antarctic, Nivada Grenchen has added the 1957 International Geophysical Medallion directly on the caseback of all their modern Super Antarctics. Now, we can all agree that the internet is a powerful tool. You see, this Super Antarctic reissue started on Instagram. So one of Nivada Grenchen's followers posted a picture of his vintage timepiece. The amount of interest that Nivada Grenchen received from the community to reproduce this piece was insane. Therefore, Nivada Grenchen made it their mission to make it again with the same original spirit and guts, but with modern standards. The Super Antarctic 369 comes in two options, a matte black dial or a tropical dial. Now, the specific model is the matte black dial option. This watch in a way reminded me of the Rolex Explorer 1 due to the 369, but aside from that, the watch is not an homage watch. It's actually its own thing, has its own DNA and identity. Let's get into the specs of this piece. The entire case and beads of rice bracelet are constructed of 316L stainless steel. The case measures in at 38mm, is 45mm from lug to lug, but I do want to mention that from where the beads of rice bracelet folds down on your wrist, the measurement actually goes up to 50.3mm. The thickness comes in at 12mm, it has 20mm lugs, an anti-reflective sapphire crystal. The watch is water resistant to 100 meters, and on the right side of the case we find a signed screw down 5.3mm crown, and the entire watch with the unsized beads of bracelet weighs in at 127 grams. The case is unlike any other cases I've seen, and it's hard to describe. We find a mixture of polish and brushed surfaces throughout, but what makes this case stand out from the rest is those angular cuts we find on top of the case by the lugs. They're flat landings that play with the light very well and blend in nicely with the polished bezel. Overall, I'm a fan of this case design, but as someone that loves to constantly change straps, it would have been ideal to have holes on the side of the case. One of the cool vibes that I get from this watch, as previously mentioned, is the Explorer, and that font use on the numerals really reminds me of the Rolex 1016. Even the hour hands kind of mimics the shape of a Mercedes style hand, but they didn't fully commit. They just used the silhouette. The dial itself is matte black, and the company actually oxidizes and UV cooks the dial for that vintage effect, and I dig it. On the dial, we also find shiny silver applied indices, the 3, 6, 9 of course, and at the 12 o'clock they printed the company name, the word automatic, and towards the 6 o'clock the word Super Antarctic, 25 rubies, and Swiss made. The loom being used is aged Swiss Super Luminova. This of course adds an aging effect to the dial and hands and brings in the whole vintage aesthetic together. So how does the loom actually perform? Well, the loom is fantastic and very impressive. One cool feature that really took me by surprise was the reflection of the loom on the dome sapphire crystal. Look at those awesome distortions. One would think that acrylic was being used instead of sapphire. This goes to show that the company really paid attention to every single detail. Okay, let's talk about that very cool caseback. This watch features a closed caseback with beautiful applied artwork. This gold finished medallion is a 1957 International Geophysical Medallion. Again, the attention to detail can definitely be felt and seen throughout the watch, and I think this medallion is a cool touch. This watch uses a SoProd P024 movement. That's an ETA 2824 alternative movement that beats at 28,800 bph. It's 4 Hz, it features 25 rubies, it has a 38 power reserve, and you can hack it, you can wind it. I've never personally interacted with a SoProd movement, and furthermore, never knew much about them. SoProd is holdover from when ETA was still the supplier of off-the-shelf movements. Like Salida, SoProd was a partner company involved with manufacturing, but of course, over the years it has developed its own movements and now offers them to watch companies such as Nivada Grenchen. The movement feels solid, and from the research I've done, SoProd is an affordable yet workhorse Swiss manufactured movement. Let me tell you about the Beats of Rice bracelet. It feels solid and it uses screws to size it. The clasp has the company logo and the finishing looks great. We find 4 micro adjustments, but one point I do want to bring up is the stamp clasp. I understand that this is supposed to resemble a vintage watch, but in the company's own words, they said this watch was manufactured with modern specs. If that's the case, then why does the bracelet feature a stamp clasp? I personally always prefer a mill clasp. Another point of contention for me is how long the end links extend from the case. This makes the watch wear a lot bigger on my 6 and 7/8 inch wrist, that's 17.43 centimeters. Overall though, the bracelet is well finished and it has a good weight to it. Okay, so let's get into the final thoughts. What do I think of this $950 watch? Well, in the looks department, I like it. It's a handsome looking watch with a lot of vintage charm that borrows some design cues from a vintage piece in their catalog. In terms of finishing, again, I am very impressed. Attention to detail is definitely there, and the watch in hand and on wrist feels substantial. So what about in terms of value for money, you ask? Well, that is a tricky point that I'm not sure how to answer. Some people see value in a watch because of their heritage. Others see value in terms of finishing and materials used. If you're like me, everything kind of matters. But the most important aspect of me buying a watch is, how does a watch look? Do I like it? And I can tell you I like this watch, but I personally wouldn't pay almost $1,000 for it. Luckily, they do sell this watch on a leather strap for $750. I say skip the bracelet and just get it on the leather strap. This message is to the folks at Nivada Grenchen. I am impressed with what you guys are doing, and I'm a fan. I hope you continue to produce unique pieces and listen to your consumers as you have so far. I'm excited to see what new or vintage-inspired pieces you have to offer in 2023. If you made it this far, thank you so much, and please know that I take my reputation very, very serious. Therefore, I will always give you my honest opinions on any products I review, as I don't have any contractual agreements with any of the companies I choose to partner up with. They give me a free product, but no one ever controls my opinions. Furthermore, I do my research before agreeing to review a product, as my channel is not about bashing companies. There's enough negativity in the world as it is. If you're a fellow content creator, I know that putting brands or other content creators on blast is very tempting, as that type of content gives you views, but that strategy will eventually backfire on you and you will burn a lot of bridges along the way. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Stay positive out there, don't bring each other down. Take care and stay humble.